Thank you, Alex. Yeah, well, a really warm welcome from myself as well. Fantastic to see so many people on the call. It's going to be really exciting to be able to share some opportunities that we've got with you and get some interaction with clubs and we've got an example from a club who's going to be able to talk you through some success that they've had. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us. This is the second of 3 webinars that we planned. So the first one we hosted last month, some of you may have been on that, and that was really about starting to put some plans in place. Hopefully since then, for those of you that were on it, have started to think about how you're going to be planning, what activity you're going to be running during and before and hopefully after the Rugby World Cup as well, to really maximise the impact and the engagement. So this one really is about talking about some opportunities for you to enhance and uplift maybe what you've already got planned. Maybe if you haven't already got anything planned, it's a prompt and an opportunity to kickstart that. So just to run through the introductions, my name's Yvette Hayward. I'm the Women and Girls Growth Officer at England Rugby. Hosting this webinar alongside me is Jenna and Jen from Wasserman. Wasserman are the sports marketing agency who are going to be helping to deliver the Red Roses national campaign, and we'll be talking you through tonight the opportunities to engage with that, different community activation that we have planned in the lead up to the Rugby World Cup and then throughout the tournament as well. So I'll just hand it over to Jenna to introduce herself and her team.
Hi, Yvette. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hi, everyone. So privileged to be on the call and have so many of you joining us tonight to hear about some of the plans that we've been working on with the RFU over the last few months. I am actually from the collective, which is Wasserman's dedicated women's sports practice. So we've got real knowledge and insight in working with young girls and getting them into sport, but also with women and driving more investment in women's sport. So as I said, it's been an absolute privilege to work on this campaign. Joined tonight by my colleague Jen, who's been supporting me along the way alongside the rest of our team to put together the plans that we will share with you this evening. On a personal level, I'm a member at Wimbledon Rugby Club. I have 2 daughters that fall right within the age bracket that we have created this campaign for, so a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old. And I don't often bring them into my working world, but they have been incredibly useful consultants as we've built this out, and couldn't be more different in terms of rugby. One, a mad, passionate rugby player, would do anything to get down to her minis on a Sunday morning. And the other one, not so keen, but now I've shown her the plans, she's certainly going to give it a go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jenna. So just a little overview of what we're talking about tonight. So we will give you a little bit of an overview of the campaign and just some of the attention and what we hope to achieve with the activation. We'll talk very specifically about the really exciting opportunity for clubs to host some girls' activity days during the tournament. And then talk about some other opportunities for clubs to engage in the wider campaign. And then we will leave plenty of time at the end for questions. Alex said, please use the chat function. It's great to get questions as we go in. So if you've got questions, pop it in. There's quite a few of us on the webinar tonight, so we will do our best to answer them if we can. But we will leave time as well to answer them at the end. The other thing that I would say is that from hosting a few of these webinars, we know that so much learning comes from clubs exchanging ideas. So we will be talking through some opportunities and some ideas ourselves. But if clubs are asking questions and you've already got something planned that you think is suitable, or you've had some ideas, or you've had some experience and you've done stuff in the past along these lines, please share it in the chat. There is a lot of learning that goes through that way, and it's always really positive feedback that we get after webinars from clubs that they've had been have that opportunity to share across club learning. So we will have opportunity to talk through some of that. But to get us started, just a really quick poll. And we're just interested to know who you will be using, who you'll be focused your recruitment on. So we know from the previous webinar that we did last month, recruitment is a real priority area for a lot of clubs. I mean, it's always a priority area for clubs, but this is an opportunity, and we know it's a really strong opportunity to engage and excite new audiences to come along to your rugby club. And I think the key message is, you know, is it girls that you focus on? Is it women? Is it all age grade? Not necessarily singling out girls, but actually treating all of the minis as a group. But the activity that goes on, it's that opportunity for it not just to be the women and girls section as well that's leading this, but the engagement and support of the whole club getting behind the Rugby World Cup and bringing that to all people within their club. So Alex, I don't know if we've started to get some responses yet from that poll.
Yeah, they're coming in. I'm just going to leave it open for a slightly time. Last little bit of chance to get it in. If for any reason you can't see the poll, you can see the question on the slide. Put your answer in the chat function for us. But it's interesting, really. I'm going to share the results in just a minute. So last chance to get your answer in, and then I'll share it there in the thing. So I'm going to stop that poll now. I'll share the results with you, and you'll see. It's really mixed a bit, if I'm honest with you. If you see that, the top one is all ages and genders, followed by girls, but there's not much in it. They're all in the 20%. So a real mixture of where people are focusing this effort a bit.
Yeah, fantastic. And when we talk about some of the opportunities that are coming up, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is very specifically girls' activity days. But, you know, there are definitely wider initiatives and opportunities going on that is about the whole club. So definitely a bit of something for everyone, I think, which is really, really positive. So just a little bit of background, I think, to start explaining the Girls' Activity Day and where that concept has come from and why we really want to promote and champion the opportunity to put these activities on focused on 6 to 12-year-old girls. And that really is that the Rugby World Cup is a really unique opportunity. We know that there'll be girls and parents of girls who have never watched female rugby before. They've never engaged in women's rugby. They've never really perceived that girls or women can play rugby. And the presence that the Rugby World Cup is going to bring is going to do a lot of that that igniting interest, inspiring and engaging girls and breaking down barriers. So we have got a really unique opportunity. And then what we need to focus on and what we want to support you to do, which we know from the feedback is what clubs are really keen to do, is create that welcoming entry for girls to come along to rugby and give it a try and give them a really positive first experience. So just a little bit of scene setting and you know, I'm sure a lot of you are in this space delivering rugby at minis ages, but we know that the girls at 6 to 12s are a minority group. So only 12% of girls under 6 to under 11s only 12% of players are girls. And girls are 10% more likely to drop out than boys. So it is, you know, it's a challenging space for girls. They don't perceive rugby as a sport for girls often. It's more perceived as a boys' sport. But we've said it is a real opportunity, this, where some of those perceptions will start to change. They are going to have the visibility of women's rugby on the telly, in the news. I'm sure it'll be discussed in schools. Parents are going to be discussing about it. So how do we start to level out some of those numbers? And the girls who at the moment don't feel comfortable being in that minority, don't feel comfortable being that 1 in 11 girls, how do we start to change that around and actually create an environment where we know that they can thrive? And one thing just to touch on before we go into the Girls' Activity Day is that we're going to share a resource with you where we've been talking to so many clubs about some fantastic examples where they are having real growth in girls within their minis teams. And we've been able to work with those clubs and work with clubs across the country to build this resource that showcases all the great work that is already going on. And we know that there is so many examples where girls have really started to thrive within clubs in these sections. And that is through giving them a sense of belonging, offering more girls-only opportunities, providing role models can be so impactful. So just a heads up, that resource is going to be coming out to you. We're not able to share it tonight, but we will be sharing it in the coming weeks. So as you plan and really as you start to think post the Girls Activity Day, this will be a resource that is there to help share some of those examples and hopefully give a little bit of support in terms of what next and what clubs can be doing in that space with girls. So now I'm going to hand over to Jenna, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about 6 to 12 girls and actually what is their world and how do we engage with them. So handing over to you now, Jenna.
Thanks, Yvette. Yeah, when we were set this task by the RFU, what was really clear for us is we couldn't just show up with rugby and expect young girls to come out to us. Yvette's touched on some of the barriers that are potentially stopping them from getting into rugby. So in order to break down those barriers, we thought it would be critical that we actually bring rugby to their world, an element of their world into rugby to bring them out. So what I'm talking about there are some of their existing passion points and interests. How could we integrate them into rugby to really encourage them to come out? And really importantly, well, was how could we collaborate with other organizations creating. So you will see elements of partners integration into the days and into the packs and toolkits that we're providing you with on the ground at a grassroots level in your clubs. But you will also see from some of the other campaign work we're doing around the Women's Rugby World Cup and the Red Roses, how we will be taking the message of get into rugby and find a club near you and pushing that out through some initiatives that we've got that we're building both with the players, with the Red Roses, with our partners that we're bringing on board and with the media out there and community organisations. So we'll take you through a bit of that in a minute. Just to say, we can't unveil the partners we're just at the critical point of confirming all the details with them, preparing for launch announcements. So details around who those partners will be coming out hopefully as part of the next webinar, but they will certainly be integrated into the assets that we will be providing you through July and August, and you can really utilize that, leverage that to enhance your days and encourage more girls to come down to your club. So stay posted for that. What is a Girls Activity Day? Well, we're really setting this up as a fun and welcoming event to get more young girls into rugby. So coming down to your clubs to try it, to make them really feel included in rugby club setups that potentially a lot of them will have never been in before. And to do that, want to bring out the social and creative activity that will really sort of attract them to come down and give it a go. So think crafting stations, think confidence building activities together with rugby skills for a really great day out for the girls and their families. We really want to make the girls feel included and really try something in a relaxed environment and a supportive environment that really encourages them to come back and give it a try the next time. We want to create a space where they can embrace their creativity. So what we are providing you with are activity packs, 2 parts of these activity packs. There'll be crafting kits that you can actually use on the day of your girls' activity session. So opening those packs up and laying out activities for the girls to get involved with. So things like origami. So the idea of getting more roses in more hands is a big push for us. So we thought, wouldn't it be great if young girls could come along and take part in some red rose origami making. Friendship bracelets is a big trend at the moment with young girls. So how can they come down to the clubs, take part in friendship bracelet making, whether that's creating bracelets of your club colours or support messages for the Red Roses. And then art and design competitions. And again, backed by our partners, we've got some incredible prizes that will be on offer for the best design of a particular subject matter that we will be challenging the girls to get creative around. And then most excitingly, sorry, just back one. Most excitingly, we'll be providing you with goodie bags, and those are in order to enhance the day, encourage girls to come along. So you may want to use the fact that you've got goodie bags in some of the pre-marketing materials, and within those there'll be gifts from our partners. There will be vouchers for some of the products that our partners have on offer, colouring sets. They'll all come with a reusable bag that you will be provided with in order to place the items in and then hand out to the girls. And just to say, at the moment, what we're looking to do is provide you with at least 30 sets of goodie bags, and also enough crafting kits for you to cover 30 girls coming down to your organised day. If you have already seen it, it was launched yesterday, but our toolkit to support our Girls Activities Day. If not, don't worry, Alex will be following up with the link following the webinar. But this gives you all the tips and tricks for you to be able to plan and promote and prepare yourselves for girls coming down. So how to register, when we would love you to organize your days, but leaving that up to you, just giving you some suggestions. How you build out your volunteer team in order to have the resources to run a really successful day. And one of those elements for us is very much the use of older girls, senior girls who are already in the clubs. We've got a lovely theme running through some of the campaign around role models and the importance that role models play on encouraging more girls to get into the game. So we would really encourage that, as well as the wider club members. We'll be giving you the assets in order to be able to promote your Girls Activity Day within your community, whether that is posters or whether it's more digitally focused in terms of social media assets that you can use through your own channels, but also pushing out to your wider community. The Girl Guide's a really good example of an organisation that if you're already in partnership with. Are there Girl Guides in your local area? Are there other community facilities? Are there school groups and local forums that you can share the assets that we will provide you with to get the community excited and to get more girls coming down to the club? And then we'll be giving you a detailed understanding of how you get your club ready in order to welcome all of these girls. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of a suggested format, very much up to yourselves how you run the day, but a sort of laid out plan that we are recommending is obviously a welcome to the girls, making them feel included. The idea of doing some very simple icebreakers so that they get to know each other, but also get to know you as volunteers and as coaches. Laying out the creative stations that I've touched on some of the activities and letting them sort of work their way around. Really getting involved in that, getting creative, and also starting to meet some of the other girls. Having your volunteers on hand to help them through those creative stations would also be very useful. Moving on and to getting them out onto the rugby pitch. You know this so well, how to run skills sessions, warm up. How can we integrate music to really get a fun vibe going on, rotating through different passing challenges, mini games, and then rewarding them all with a small token at the end through the goodie bags that we will be providing you with. And then let's wrap up the day with a bit of a social. Let's mingle with not only the girls, but also the parents, and really encouraging them to click on the QR code, fill out the feedback survey, and very critically capture their data so that we can make sure that we've got them in the system and we can communicate to them again about future events coming up.
Thank you, Jenna. That's a quick summary of the Girls' Activity Days. We have got another poll coming up. We'll do the poll first, and then I might just see, Alex, if there's any questions in the chat as well. So quick question for you, just to help us get a feel for numbers. How many participants do you feel is likely to attend a girls' activity day if you're hosting one? We appreciate, this is going to vary quite considerably depending on locations and, your kind of immediate environment around your club. But it's just a kind of a bit of a guidance in terms of expectations and what those numbers will be. So if we just get some of that answers to the poll, and then maybe we can just see if there's any questions as well, Alex.
Yep, sure. So that poll is with you now. If you can't see it for any reason, please do put your answer into the chat. But, how many participants feels achievable? Just going to finish that poll just now and share the results. So it's this sort of, again, it's split a bit. 51% think they can get up to 20, and then some others think 20 to 40. There are few, only 5% think 40 plus, but that's what we're sort of targeting. I think they're thinking this sort of between that 0 to 20 or 20 to 40. I think they can get in there. I'll stop.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Alex. And I guess the key thing for us is, this is an opportunity to engage new participants, and I think we've talked about that. So yeah, we'll be looking for definitely not excluding girls that are already within the club. It's really, really valuable to have those girls coming along to days like this, so maybe new people can get a feel for who else is going to be there. And I'm sure girls bring girls, and friendships will be made, but also we know that girls like to come along in 2s and 3s and bring their mates along. So that's a real opportunity for us, isn't it, to reward and have a nice time for girls that are already within the club. But then hopefully it's a real opportunity to get new participants along as well. So is there any questions?
There's a few questions. Yeah, there is. So I'm going to do some logistic questions. Jordan, I will come to your question later on in the webinar, but some logistic questions I'm going to focus on. So Kate asks, is this just for clubs or can CBs apply too?
Lauren, are you able to answer that one?
Yes, so I think Matt has just put in the chat. So the girls' activity days are focused on clubs. We will be making sure that CBs know which clubs have signed up, and we'd also really love CBs to encourage your clubs to sign up to this. There'll be other opportunities that CBs could sign up to later on.
Okay. There is another one here. Is there a session targeting 16 to 18-year-old girls? Please, they have different passion points, and it would be good to get some hints and tips to reach out to those girl ages.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to talk about some wider, we'll talk about Rugby Fest, which is a more all-encompassing for everyone event, and we will talk about that coming up in a little bit more detail. So, yeah, the 6 to 12 girls is very much focused on the younger girls. The only thing I would say is those older girls can absolutely still attend this, but maybe they would have more of a role. So I guess more existing members of kind of supporting the younger girls, maybe like supporting with any of the drills or supporting with any of the crafting stations. So maybe not a recruitment for those older girls, but definitely an opportunity for any existing players in the older age groups to come along and support those days. But yeah, we'll talk about Rugby Fest in a little bit, which is maybe probably more all-encompassing for clubs in terms of who they want to engage with that activity.
Thanks, Yvette. I'll leave the questions there. I'll note just Jordan and Faye. I'll pick up your questions later in that question and answer bit, but we'll just move on with the presentation a bit.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alex. I've now asked James and Ross from Bromley to just talk you through what they have done over the last 2 years. Bromley have had a kind of fantastic recruitment focus over a couple of years now, where they had very few girls, and I'm sure Ross and James will be able to tell you exactly how many girls they've got, but they've got a number of girls-only teams entered at the minis ages, so under 9s, under 10s, and under 11s, and have had incredible growth. So real successes in how they run their events and how they engage with girls at primary school age. So really, really hopeful that you will kind of take a lot from listening to James and Ross, and hopefully at the end as well we'll have a bit of time. So if you do have questions, again, we'll be able to ask James and Ross to share some of that. James, I believe we'll be handing over to you.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So the girls section at Bromley has really been around for 2 years really now. And the driver behind it a couple of years ago, we had around about 6 or 7 girls in what was then our under 10s age group, and then a smattering of girls lower down. We had, I think at the end of the 2023 season, we had something like 16 girls. And rather selfishly, Ross and I both have daughters in that elder age group, and we were faced with a prospect of either our own daughters being told they can't play rugby again, or actually grabbing the bull by the horns and making a go of it. So we decided to do the latter. Discussed the plans with the committee, who were all very supportive of what we wanted to do. And the big sell really for us, and it's one of the continuing themes, is we didn't want to be a club within a club. You know, we're not a separate rugby club. We're part of Bromley. We're just adding additional teams. And we, from the off, we wanted to say that we were contributing to the growth of the club as a whole, rather than being a draw. Because I think a lot of the thought is, how much is it going to cost us? You know, and that was never a conversation we had. It was never about the financials. It was always about what can we contribute into the club. So once we'd sort of got the committee on board with it, you know, we had a lot of support from their experience from the marketing, from the social media and so on. And Ross and I pretty much had a free rein to do what we saw fit. So that first summer, I think, was quite hectic for us. And we did things rather quickly in terms of, we got some cheap t-shirts printed up saying, "We play girls rugby at Bromley, come and speak to me for a chat." So we wore them all of our festivals. We had some flyers printed out, which we distributed to our parents to send to their schools, and electronic-based ones to go in school WhatsApps. And we did some pop-ups in local high street. They had some evening social events, you know, trying to drum up business back into the high street after COVID. It's kind of tied in quite nicely with us. So we had a pop-up there. And then that kind of led us into deciding to host our first Girls Open Day. So we kind of set a date for that just before the beginning of the season, and aggressively advertised that locally in all the schools, shopping centres, flyers. We had a big banner printed and put on a major roundabout near the club to try and get out there. And we got around 50 girls signed up to that, which I'd say probably 30 of which had never played any form of rugby, not even a little bit of tag rugby in school. Now, the way we structured that day, there were obviously rugby balls involved, but the majority of the girls came from completely different backgrounds. And so we kept it all very much sports focused, but much more of a traditional, say, multi-sport session. We had one of the coaches in one of our boys' age groups at the club runs a children's out of school activity sort of business. So he was instrumental in giving us the plans on how to structure it and very much helped run the event for us. There are things like, you know, the girls doing beanbag races, hurdle jumps, you know, a little bit of hitting tackle bags, see how far you can knock it and so on. A little bit of kind of stuck in the mud, all very rugby specific games, but without them being sold rugby. You know, because it goes back to what you're saying earlier with these girls don't come from that background. You know, it's how do you engage and make rugby something, or you take rugby to them and speak to them on their level, their terms, so they get it. And then the other element to that, while the girls were occupied, we hosted a big barbecue and drinks basically for the parents who were there. So a lot of the hard sell in the early days was very much getting the parents on board. You know, some parents had got boys playing rugby either at our club or other clubs. Others, it's you know, a set of like-minded parents, and you get a social circle and a parents run. And part of it, we kind of say if you get the parents hooked, the kids kind of come with it. It's not all about that, but it's an additional bonus. It's selling rugby as that family event, which is what it is. It's completely different to football. And I think there's some misconceptions from, say, parents who haven't grown up around sports of, you see football on the TV and in the papers, and you see the sort of people that go there. And it's making sure that we advertise that rugby's better than, we're a completely different sport, different, environment when you go to watch professional games and so on. It's about mixed in the stands, a lot of banter between parents, a lot of good-hearted sort of environment to be in. Off the back of our open day, I think we probably took on somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 extra girls. So we moved into that 2024 season with teams at under 12s and a combined under 10s, 11s team. So the beginning of last season, this was. But the big thing for us was always kind of targeting the areas where we could add girls to make the teams viable. It wasn't about getting girls at all levels and then not having, any events for them. So as much as we don't turn any girls away, it's not helpful to us as a club having a smashing girls at 16s, 14s, a couple at 10s, 9s, or whatever. So we saw where our big numbers of girls are coming from, and we really focused on the mini end of the age group. And we kind of crudely call it the conveyor belt of talent. You get them in young, you keep them when they move out of minis into contact rugby, and they'll keep moving through. And we think that's especially important with the girls once they hit youth rugby, because you've got those merged aged bands. So the girls are always going to be playing either up or down a year, really, when they get to youth level. So it's very important that you've got the girls to move in to help you field your own teams. And obviously then for the girls to know, girls up and down level. So it's this big sisterhood of girls that we've got. Through the last season, we've done sort of ad hoc bring a friend to training days. We've done lots of socials with the girls, either going to Premiership games, international games, parties at the club after training. Last summer we did social touch rugbies on a Friday, which were mixed for parents, boys and girls, very light-hearted. Predominantly it's girls who come along, they've brought some school friends, nice weather, you get them hooked in the summer months with the barbecues, the nice weather for the kids to play in, and then all of a sudden it's September and the rain comes and they're still there and it's good. But I think of all of the things that we've done, probably the most important is the word of mouth from the girls bringing school friends along. And I think part of that is making sure when you've got your initial girls in the club that they're enjoying it. You constant feedback with the girls. What do they enjoy from each session? What do they want to do more of? What do they want to do less of? All still with rugby in mind, but at the mini end of it, it's all about them coming and leaving with a smile on their face. It's not a results business at that age. And we've always been very careful to say, we're not interested in results. We don't keep track of scores or anything. It's all about you developing as an individual, reaching your individual potential, and getting out of the sport what you want to get out of the sport. So once you've got them hooked, they'll bring a friend along, and their friend sort of similarly comes in hooked. So then 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, and so on. And it's a bit of a snowball effect. It's not a magic bullet. There's not one thing I'd say that we've done. There's a lot of different things that we've done over the past couple of seasons. Some have worked, some haven't. We're still testing the water with some events like the Girl Guides. I know some had mentioned the chats about Girl Guides. We ran an event for the local Girl Guides group. I think we had somewhere in the region of 150, 200 girls over a couple of nights come down. First experience of rugby. How that leads into take up come September, we'll see as time tells. Yeah, Ross, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
You're on mute. I think
you're on mute.
I think he's.
Is he deliberately on mute?
I think he's deliberately on mute. Is that?
Okay, good. Yeah, just to echo what James said. Certainly around the open day, it was all very much fun orientated. There was no idea or suggestion that we were trying to, cherry pick athletes from that crowd. It just come along, have a great day. I think you mentioned about this being part of something bigger. So when they come along, we had T-shirts made up for them. So everyone wore a T-shirt that day. Looks exactly the same. That a really cheap Bromley T-shirt on with Bromley badge on the front of it. music was blaring, kept girls active for the whole session. And there's a heavy amount of engagement with both the kids and the parents, making sure that there's coaches plenty full just to sort of chat to anybody who wants to talk to us about what rugby is about, what the next steps were for their girls. So, just to echo James' point, there's never been one thing that we've done particularly that's worked. It's just a constant, relentless effort, trying to think of new ideas, new ways to engage and keep the message strong, really.
Fantastic. Thank you, James. Thank you, Ross. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I think, there is a lot of work that goes into that. There's no denying that. And you say it can feel fairly relentless. But James's idea about trying to focus, so not, do all of the age groups, I think is a really relevant one, and trying to identify where you want to target and focus your energies will help to have a greater impact. And then, the challenge around parents, we know can be very real with girls rugby, and engaging parents and changing perceptions. So that engagement with parents and trying to do that from the off in terms of getting them on board and just getting them to see that their daughters are having fun with a rugby ball in hand can be really, really impactful. So thank you very much, both of you, for sharing that. Really appreciate you joining tonight. I just wanted to check again if there's any questions, Alex, maybe that were relevant specifically to James to answer.
So there's one from Sarah asking, who do they play at under 10s?
So our under 10s, we actually, one thing I kind of neglect to say is that last season we actually split our girls out from under 9s upwards when they tackled, based on a lot of the sort of the anecdotal research about how girls don't like tackling against boys, how the boys don't apparently like tackling the girls, and so on. So we split at that point, and then that leaves you in a bit of a sticky situation, because the girls, or most girls at other clubs where they don't have numbers, are still in the combined. I can't think of the word I think of. In combined mixed sex teams at that age group. So for our 10s and 11s, which we run as a combined team to give us the numbers, we've had to really go out much further afield than we normally would do. So we've had to leave the county effectively to go and get games for them. So we found we're quite close on the Surrey borders, and we found there's a cluster of clubs about an hour's drive away in Surrey where they've done similar things and they have similar numbers of girls at 10s, 11s. So pretty much what we've done for that team all season is running. We've just done friendlies. They've not done the traditional minis festivals. To be honest, the rugby season is about 7 months. We get something like 7 to 8 games for them. One a month. That's actually more than enough for them at that age group, because you can then put into practice some of the things that you see in the games into training, and you can work on them. One thing that we found towards the very later end of the season, like the last couple of festivals locally, they ran specific girls' pools at both under 10s and under 11s ages, where, again, they cast the net quite far afield to bring in teams. And we actually split our 10s and 11s at that point to run 2 independent teams again. And what we actually found was the under 10s, who'd been predominantly playing with older girls for most of the season, actually did very well going back down into the 10s, because they're slightly not more advanced, but they've come up against slightly physically bigger girls, or faster girls or whatever. So going back down to all girls in their own age, they're used to playing probably more technically capable players. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't detract from what you need to find. It's very much trying to identify what's in your local area. I mean, we're on the outskirts of London, so we're probably we probably get in a bit more of a luxurious position to some, because there's a lot of clubs in the south of London and Kent and Surrey and so on. So there are teams if we're willing to travel.
And just to add, I mean, one thing we've done to solve, obviously we want the club girls rugby to grow, not just for Bromley, but locally, it's for everyone's sake, really, for the commute. So we actually, as a club, when we done our minis festival, we put on a girls section, a part of that mini festival. So we invited clubs to bring their girls and cluster essentially for the day. So we had an under 9s pool and under 10s and 11s pool. We also had our own teams in that, dedicated teams that we spoke to all the other local clubs and asked them to bring, make clusters up, and we helped them to have, 2 or 3 clubs on the day form one team, so we could offer everybody the opportunity of girls rugby, not just the Bromley girls. And I think that's helped the conversation within Kent a lot. With the Kent Festival that they ran later in the year, they ended up doing the same thing on the back of what we did earlier in the year. So it's just moving that conversation on a bit further and trying to get everybody involved. And you know, as much as we'd love to take all the girls in the county into Bromley, you know, that's not practical. We know that we need competition. So we're trying our best to try and encourage not just our growth, but the growth overall locally.
Fantastic. Thank you for answering that for us. So we'll move on now, conscious of time. So I'm going to hand back to Jenna again, who's going to talk through some of the other opportunities and activations that will be part of the national campaign.
Thanks, Vet. Yeah, so just want to highlight some of the activations that we have planned to really capitalise on the Women's Rugby World Cup taking place in England this summer. And really, this is to support you guys in terms of, you know, driving awareness of rugby, driving awareness of the Red Roses and support of the Red Roses that will hopefully really inspire girls to come down to your club. So again, working with the partners that have not been able to disclose, I'm sorry, to be disclosed in July, but we'll be doing a lot of activity with them. As I said, they give us a really great platform to reach girls that have never been, you know, touched with rugby before. So some ideas that we will be building out with the players in tow and really spearheading some of this campaign. So media moments with the Red Roses, so creating content with them, with also influencers that are relevant to the audiences that we're trying to reach, and also the parents, because we know how important it is to get the parents on side as well. So watch out for really exciting, engaging and inspiring content that we'll be creating. We'll also be working very closely with the host broadcaster in the BBC, and we've got lots of great initiatives. You will see us showing up on lots of different programmes, from Blue Peter to, I believe, Songs of Praise, you know, right through to the One Show. So keep your eyes open for that. We will be creating a tool that is going to be a digital tool that young girls or adults can get involved with, and that is a design your kit tool. So working closely with our kit partner, girls and boys, adults can go online, can create their own design with the chance to win that bespoke kit being created in real life and sent out to the winning design, which is really exciting. And that's something that we would really encourage you, when that is live, to share with your rugby clubs, to share with your communities, to get people involved. And the call to action off the back of that will be very much find a club near you and get involved in a girls' activity day. And this amazing idea around yarn art. If you don't know what yarn art is, it is the crocheting different items to be able to go out and decorate, you know, different areas within your towns or cities. So partnering with our host cities, we have this initiative to encourage the nation to come out and create crochet art in celebration of the Red Roses playing in the Women's Rugby World Cup. There is lots of information on englandrugby.com/Red Roses yarn art. So have a look at that. Why yarn art? Well, it's a big trend at the moment amongst 6 to 12-year-old girls, but also a big favourite hobby of our Red Roses, really led by Abby Dow. And if you haven't seen the social media post of Abby creating her crochet Red Roses, it's a must-watch following this webinar. Abby will be launching that initiative in the coming weeks. She'll be doing a bit of a media tour, so watch out for her across different broadcast channels and newspaper publications in the coming weeks. Okay, so moving on to Rugby Fest. Yvette's touched upon this. This is really an all-inclusive day for the community to come out to your rugby clubs. We will be providing you with information around Rugby Fest from the 8th of July. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. And this is a celebration that we are encouraging you to host at your clubs on the 3rd to the 6th of October. That is the weekend following hosting the Women's Rugby World Cup final at the end of September. We will also be giving you an opportunity as you sign up to supercharge your event with appearances from our Red Roses, a whole host of prizes that our partners will be providing, and hopefully a World Cup winning trophy as well. But I can't promise anything on that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Jenna. So, I mean, a lot of opportunities coming up, you know, some really exciting opportunities for clubs. Rugby Fest isn't just limited to clubs as well. So that is an opportunity for CBs or schools to also get involved. Just a little bit of an overview in terms of what is available to support you. You know, we do appreciate this all is kind of, you know, time and planning and is very much dependent on you putting that time into making things happen. So the Rugby World Cup Club Activation Guide is available. If Alex hasn't done it yet, he will be posting that into the chat, and we will certainly share that as well. So you've got that for reference, but after the webinar. There's some kind of resources that we always have on our website. So stuff around female-friendly social spaces, and we've got other guidance around female-friendly facilities as well. So that will all be posted to you, so you can find that. We have the Love Rugby campaign, which is very much, if anybody hasn't seen it, I mean, the branding's been all over the presentation tonight, but that is our girls campaign, and that is really about creating an identity for girls, and it's got different social media assets, posters. So if you're looking for something that isn't bespoke to the Girls Activity Day or Rugby Fest, there's definitely lots on our Love Rugby website page where you can download and use those. T1 Rugby guidance in terms of some of the activities and kind of tips for delivery of T1 Rugby on the Girls Activity Day. But again, you know, we're just talking about 2 specific days. We realise that it's just the start of the rugby season. So how do we follow up on the activity that we run on those days and keep girls involved? So lots of guidance around T1 Rugby and kind of tips on delivery of that on our website. And then the yarn art link that Jenna just mentioned as well. So that is available now. What we have got coming up in July, so this is all stuff that we'll be able to share with you, and will be through our website, and will come out through the community game update email as well at the beginning of July. So we will have posters and flyers and templates to help you promote the Girls Activity Days and social media frames as well for any kind of online marketing. There'll be a QR code that we will send to you, which we would really appreciate you sharing and asking for feedback on the day. That's really helpful to understand what's worked, what's not worked, and to be able to capture people's details as well. So instructions for the England Rose, origami, friendship bracelets, that will all be part of the kind of detail that will come to you when you get your kit packs, and supporting you to run those sessions, along with a Spotify playlist for anybody who hasn't got time to compile a 2-3 hour playlist that's suitable for 6 to 12 girls. We will do that job for you, which hopefully will save a little bit of time as well. So we're coming to the end now. We said we've got time for questions, and I'm pleased to say we have got some time to answer any questions. Just so kind of to kind of summarize, and you know, this will come out to you, so don't worry too much about writing it all down. But really, the sign up for the Girls Activity Days is open now. We've had a really positive response that was made available yesterday about 5:30 in the community game update, and we've had a fantastic response so far. So I would encourage you to use that link and register pretty quickly. And then the sign up for the Rugby Fest is going to open on the 8th of July. and that will be open for about a month. So that a little bit more information to come on the detail of that, but that is very much focused on the weekend after the finals. We should have absolute engagement throughout the country and celebrations throughout the country. So this is a real unique opportunity to celebrate within your club and really engage your community and get them down to your club. But we will talk about that in more detail on the webinar on Monday, the 7th of July. So please also take the time to register for that webinar. And then finally, just to clarify, so the girls' activity days will run during the tournament. There are no set days. That's up to you to pick a day that works for your club. And then the Rugby Fest will be very much focused on that weekend, the 3rd to 6th of October, after the final. So we have a few minutes for any questions, if there is any questions, Alex.
Yes, there's a few questions there. I'll just Sarah's just put, is there a link to the webinar? I will put that in once we've asked the questions, but I'll include the next webinar link in the send out afterwards. Okay, so there is some questions coming through. I'm going to go right back. I said I would answer Jordan's one. Jordan's right back at the start. He said, is it good practice when delivering rugby sessions at schools to separate girls and boys into single gender sessions? What do you think?
I think that is very much speaking to the school. There's pros and cons to both of it, but I think a school will always have a guidance on that. Some schools are very comfortable with you separating out the boys and the girls, and they can occupy the boys and run sessions for the boys, so you can solely focus on the girls. And I think there's a lot of research and evidence that girls do engage better with activities when they're single sex. Their confidence is stronger. They just feel more comfortable in that environment, and they're more willing to get involved. So for the girls, I think that is it's always a positive experience to be put into that environment. There will always be a few girls who don't necessarily want to be in a girls only environment, but the research shows us that the majority of girls prefer that environment and participate and engage better in that environment. I think you just have to weigh that up and communicate with the school to understand, is that going to be a barrier for them being prepared for you to come and run those sessions? And again, that is really mixed. We know some schools are very comfortable with that. Some schools really struggle with that, and they do want it to be inclusive for their boys and for the girls.
Thank you, Yvette. Just to say, there was some things around schools and stuff, and also some sharing about primary schools. We're going to take a lot of that stuff offline, that stuff in there, but there was some sharing in there about what other clubs could do, but certainly taking that up. There's quite a few questions in there about, yes, we've got lots of things for young girls, obviously the Rugby Fest coming up, open for all, but some more support around sort of the older age groups, under 16s to under 17s. What do we have available there to help clubs with the older age groups and women?
Yeah, so at the moment for women, we have the Inner Warrior campaign, and that is our recruitment campaign that with branding and messaging that is targeted for women. For Love Rugby is for all ages. So if you look on the Love Rugby website, the campaign is broken down into 4 age groups. So it's 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 15, and then 16 to 18. So we've got posters, we've got kind of the messaging and social frames that is very much targeted at those older age groups. So if you wanted to use some of those assets to do some of your marketing and promotion to engage those girls, there's some like ready-made messaging that actually speaks to the motivations and of the girls at that age. And that's much more about having representation of girls that are, moving into adulthood and are starting to think about like life beyond education and how they challenge and better themselves. So those assets are available. In terms of the activations for Rugby World Cup, then I would absolutely say, Rugby Fest is for everybody. It's really about engaging everybody and having that community feel for everybody in the club. So that absolutely should include and be relevant to older teenagers as well.
Thank you. I got one here from Lydia. Is it a good idea to link the Girls' Activity Day to an England or home nations match as an optional extra? What do you think?
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, that's I mean, that's fantastic, because then they get to have the fun, they get to engage, but then they also get to see it on the telly, and that's where the inspiration and the engagement and you know, that perception of this, you know, this is women playing rugby, and they relate to that and they see that. So yeah, it's a fantastic idea, and hopefully that's something that the parents would come and watch as well. So it creates that kind of wider community experience that would be really positive. So 100%, yeah.
Great. And there's some questions, particularly around Rugby Fest and rugby fixtures. Do you know what's happening with that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what's the specific question. If Lauren's just come off camera, so I think maybe she's ready to answer that.
I think there was a question about if there are any league matches scheduled for that weekend. So there may be some matches on that weekend that had already been scheduled. But what we would recommend is that actually, if you have activity happening at the club, why not have your Rugby Fest at the same time? Base it around the games that are happening, the activity that's happening already. Is if you already have things planned, then we're not telling you have to do something completely different. Like this could really enhance the activity that's already going on. So we are encouraging that as much as possible. Also, you don't have to do it on the whole weekend. It can just be it should just be one day of the weekend, unless you want to do a whole weekend. That is your choice. But you can pick and choose which day works best for you.
Just to add to that, Lauren, some really good examples of where clubs have changed their fixtures around this season. So if there's a full sort of fixture list, which you might get on a Saturday or even on a Sunday, just swapping those fixtures around. So as an example, the girls training on the morning of the first team men's fixture, if that's the case, rescheduling so the women's team play before the men, or vice versa. So then almost showcasing everything at the rugby club, giving everyone the opportunity to see rugby actually being played there as well. So it's definitely not a burden, I don't think. I know clubs will be busy, but if you do have some activity planned already, it really help to draw people into that event.
Thanks. And obviously we're coming to the 8 o'clock now. I'll just, you know, and we do take the chat away and review it afterwards. So thank you very much, because certainly there's so many great things that have been shared in the chat that you'll just have to have a read of it afterwards. It's definitely got some great things in for us to take away, talk about local girl guides, Duke of Edinburgh award schemes, big sister, little sister, working well for clubs, and some great sharing in there. So we're sort of come to the end now. I'll just hand back to you, but we do take all your comments away in the chat. So we'll try our best to come back to you if we can.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, so we will share everything with you. Thank you so much again for taking the time to join this evening. Thank you for engaging and putting your questions and you know, sharing your ideas in the chat. That is always so valuable to be able to see that, and helpful for us, but I think, you know, as helpful for each other as well, to be able to see that. So thank you. Yeah, thank you from us, and you know, thank you as well for all that you're going to do in the next few months. We know this is a really exciting time, and I'm sure many of you are, you know, really keen to get going, but it will be a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of work. So thank you very much from us, and yeah, please sign up to the July webinar, where we will be able to give you more details and more information as well. So we hope that has been valuable for you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.